We are back in. It's another edition of Danny and Cello. I am Danny Williams in with Marcello Romano. Chavi is producing the product. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. The interaction, the participation's been awesome. Let's have a good one here. Cello, how are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited for the NFL season to start. I'm excited for the college football season to start. We got a good one today. I want to ask you, the Broncos, there's enough time here that we've had to all the offseason. We have what happened last season as kind of what we think is the foundation for what will be this season. A good draft. I think people would say a good free agency class the Broncos brought in. What, if anything, a coach it's working, a quarterback that looked like you hit on Bo Nix. What, if anything, are the Broncos still missing if they're really going to elevate themselves to contender? Whatever contender means to you or to me or to anybody out there, if they're going to elevate to true contender, is there one thing that they're still missing?
No. And we're done.
Sorry,
no,
what?
I'm kidding. Let me clarify your question.
Okay.
What's the question? All right. Do you mean what's the missing piece, or like what part of this team needs to perform at a certain level? Is that the missing piece that takes them into contention? Or are you talking about even maybe an outside
Cello, the beauty
deal
of
where you could find an answer?
The beauty of the show, this question, and living in a free America, you can answer the question any way you want. The way I phrased it in my mind, in my head, was what or who. And that could be literally this type of guy. You can say Micah Parsons. You can say a top 5 receiver. You could say, if it's an individual, you can say it's the uncertainty of the linebacking group as a whole with Dre Greenlaw's injury, and then after that, there's a fall off. You can say whatever you want to say. I want to know if this team is still missing something from being in the echelon of the Bills, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs. What will hold them back, or what are they still missing?
I think for me, and this has been a concern of mine this whole offseason, I don't think we got any answers through camp, through the preseason, going into week 1 against the Titans, is what is this offensive line going to be? Are they going to be able to run the football at a much more successful rate than they did last year? Will Sean Payton be disciplined to stick with the run, knowing that you have a weapon like Bo Nix, who, after the first month of last season, his progression, or your word, trajectory, was there wasn't a lot of people that have had a rookie year like he had. So
in the history of the league, actually, in the entire history of the league,
I know
there's only been 2 guys, actually, him and I don't know who it was. It came up on the screen. I told you, 4,000 total yards, 30-plus total touchdowns, 10-plus wins, and there was one other criteria there. There's 2 guys in the history of the NFL to do that. I don't know if it was Jaden Daniels last year, or I don't know if it was somebody else in the history of the league, but Bo Nix is one of 2 guys. That's some rare air. So for anyone like me who's kind of on that spot of like, hey, chill on the Bo Nix being Josh Allen stuff yet, that's something to throw in my face and say, well, bro, he's doing things literally that no one else in the history of the league has ever done. That's special. That's rare air. That is how you knock down kind of, walls to greatness. And Bo Nix is ascending, I hope.
I think you're right, and I think that would be like he has to play at that level for them to be in that discussion. But for me, the missing piece, and I think we could have fun with it. I mean, is there other pieces that you would like to try and acquire? I mean, we had the Micah Parsons conversation a few weeks back when all that news broke between him and Jera, and then, other things out there like possibilities. I don't know that there's things that we're totally missing out on. I think the Broncos have spoken pretty loudly with what they've done since camp started and what they did the other day, how they got their roster finalized. I think they're pretty happy. They'd have to have something like the Devon Vele trade was unexpected. Something like that would have to become part of the equation for them. I think they're satisfied with it. And I really believe that.
With what? It being what? Everything?
Yes.
The operation as a whole?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you. But let me say this here. If the Broncos are missing one thing that's going to hold them back, that's maybe kind of unattainable, is maybe just pure experience. You've said it a lot of times in a lot of really good ways. You have to kind of lose hard before you can win it all, reach the mountaintop. That's part of the process sometimes, not all the time. Patrick Mahomes didn't really have to wait around. It kind of happened instantly for him, and there's been a handful of those situations in the history of the league, but only a handful. So if there's one thing that's holding the Broncos back, it's just one more year of kind of pure experience. And that's kind of, I think, where I go to. I don't doubt the team. I love what's happening with the Broncos. I mean, like Simon would say, absolutely loved it. Okay, I'm just like, this is it, right?
Yeah.
And what would Randy Jackson say?
I don't remember that guy.
He'd say, "Come on, dog."
He'd be like, "I have samurai swords that have been signed by Michael Jackson." I don't know what he would say, man. Like, but I would ask you: is the loss that they suffered last year in Buffalo, because it happened? I mean, that was immediate, but you don't think they felt like, you remember how quickly they scored in that game? If you go back and watch the footage of that, I think if you watch Sean Payton, when Bo Nix, by the way, that throw tells you that he's an NFL quarterback because he got blasted right when he let go of it. Troy Franklin catches in the end zone. They pan the camera to Sean Payton. It looks like, oh, we got him. He had a belief that they were going to kind of shock the world that day, and then the Buffalo Bills said, hold up. You can't stop us. You can't get us off the field. Do they remember that enough? Is that enough of a experience to say, we don't want to have that feeling again? Or you think it's like you got to get closer and closer?
Okay, let me ask you this question. So do you think that the Bills were just completely outclassed the Broncos in the playoffs last year too, or it was varsity versus JV kind of effect, personnel, depth, the quarterback, the coach?
No.
Or was it just that the Bills were just further along in this process, have been in those moments before, and the Broncos hadn't, and the Bills weren't going to let that kind of slip through their fingers, as they're really just competing for championships right now. And the Broncos have to go through that same kind of stuff.
Well, that game was a lot closer than people kind of remember. I know it got out of hand in the fourth quarter, but late into the third quarter, I think it was a 13-10 game.
I was feeling
like
good
that.
at half. At halftime of that game, I was thinking, this is what the Broncos
won.
13-7
or something like that.
This is what the Broncos
wanted. And that was after
wanted.
Lutz missed a field goal, I think, going into half. So it was a lot closer in the first half. It was just, I guess, to answer your own question, it was the experience. And it wasn't even like Josh Allen had to go crazy. He made a couple plays. He had that play like deep in the end zone that really opened the floodgates, but they ran the hell out of the football that day. And the Broncos couldn't get off the field. And that's their, the stronger suit. Most of last year was their defense.
The Bills kept extending drives right when you thought the Broncos had an opportunity or a moment, a stop here, gets them back in the game. The Bills just kind of kept squeezing, and it was a young Broncos team who it still is. I still think they're super young. I don't know where they rank in the league in terms of age, but it feels like they're a top 10 youngest team in the league, and maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they have certain guys that'll put them right there in the middle, but I think that if we're really going to kind of chop this up and say the Broncos are missing what are the Broncos missing right now? We've said this, that they didn't go get the T. Higgins and trade for DK Metcalf and try to leverage future, to try to microwave the process to get there quicker. Instead, they're kind of relying on their own maturation of their own guys. They're Sean guys, George guys, and I think that's a beautiful thing. It's working. Okay, it's the buy-in is there. The players start to buy into the coaches, to the philosophy. They're having success with it. Everyone eats. Everyone's a winner. That kind of feels like what's happening here. Like the rise of when Kyle Shanahan goes to, the 49ers and just kind of turns it around seemingly kind of quickly. Some coaches do that. Pete Carroll does that kind of stuff. And Sean, the way he handles stuff, it's scary sometimes. But I think Sean has kind of done that here. Yeah,
well, I mean, he has a lot of confidence in the team. All we have to do is go reference what he, released, what was that, 3 weeks ago now, about him coaching 6 teams that he thought could have won a Super Bowl, and this will be his 7th, which you and I debated whether or not that was a good idea or if it was premature to say something like that. So he has a lot of confidence and belief in the team. That's why I think he's satisfied with it. I think it's interesting. I'm trying to think, like, we bring up, and you say you got to go through the trials and tribulations of.
Well, you say that.
Well,
and I agree with it. It's been proven in most cases.
Most times it is. But now I'm trying to think, like, you would have thought that, let's take it over to basketball. The Oklahoma City Thunder had just had one playoff loss. That was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When the Wolves beat them, and they went on kind of a historic run this year to win a title. Mm-hmm. And recently, like, if we go back to Elway had to go through it, but he was getting to Super Bowls early.
Yeah.
He just wasn't winning them at that point. I think Peyton had to do it, and he had to deal with Tom Brady for a lot of it. I'm trying to think recently. It's like you get there and you get there quick. Like Patrick Mahomes didn't have to wait. Jalen Hurts, for as much as you want to say, maybe, but he got to a Super Bowl. I think he's had
instant success. I would call Jalen Hurts' success like almost instant success.
It's
he's different.
Josh and Lamar. And I don't think, like, that's a scary slope to be on, too, because you don't want to be where those two teams are. They've been through the trials and tribulations. Why are they still not able to get over the hump? Because it looks like they have all the pieces. When you're stacking up these teams in the AFC,
question.
Like, they check all the boxes, and they still haven't even got to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so then let me ask you this, and this is not off topic. It's on topic, but not. We'll make the correlation back to the Broncos some way, somehow. But how do the Chiefs continue to dominate the AFC then, Cello? How do they continue to hold the Ravens down? I mean, Lamar Jackson looks like a different guy in the playoffs for all the wrong reasons. And Josh Allen, it's like, you could see him. He wants it so bad. And he's got everything it takes. How? And then I saw Sean McDermott in his first how long has he been there? 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been in his tenure, whether it's 7 years, like his first 6 or 7 years as a head coach at a spot, second most wins in the history of the NFL. And for a head coach at a spot over his first, whatever it is, the tenure of his 6 or 7 years. So he's been really, really close over and over and over again. So what is the difference? Is it Andy Reid? Is it the Patrick Mahomes? Is it a combination of? I mean, like what? What is allowed? I mean, because the Ravens are worthy, and the Bills are worthy. I mean, if they would have won it last 2 years ago, no one would have batted an eye at all. What's gotten in their way?
It's a tough question to answer, and I think people in Baltimore and Buffalo ask that all the time.
And what would they say though?
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the buzzsaw. I mean, like forever it was the Patriots that were slaying dragons, right, in the AFC. And it was hard to get over that hump. Now you have 3 of them. But with the Chiefs, I think it's a combination. To answer your question, it's a combo of having Patrick Mahomes, who's one of the best ever to do it at that position, in the most important position in all of professional sports. It's having Andy Reid with his experience, like all the years he was in Philly, and then having the success. But look at all the
shortcomings that Andy Reid and Philly had, man. They were so close, so close. And he has to kind of leave a place that, man, he didn't want to go.
McNabb or Mahomes?
Well, that's the difference.
That is the difference.
It's the difference.
The problem is like if you're in Buffalo and Baltimore, and even now Denver, if you want to throw them in there, are they, even though you think you have that answer, what is it going to take? Because the Chiefs always seem to just make the play when it counts. You can go back. Who was it? Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah.
That Josh Allen tried to hit?
Mm-hmm.
A Chief player probably makes that play.
Okay.
And it's happened.
Let me ask you this. Is Andy Reid and Mahomes... Is Patrick Mahomes just anywhere? Was he destined to be great anywhere? Or was it Andy Reid who was really like, okay, I'm going to kind of bring the best out in you, let you do you, but in the confines of, an Andy Reid offense that has made him, again, already one of the greatest of all time? And how do we kind of tie that into Bo Nix have the kind of success he had last year, and we hope he has for the rest of his career?
Always, though, quarterback, coach matters?
No.
That combo?
No.
You don't think that matters?
Well, here's what I mean. Peyton Manning would have been good anywhere. But Tom Brady might not have been good anywhere. Tom Brady might have just really been Tom Brady with Bill Belichick.
Oh, yeah.
I think Peyton Manning could have been Peyton Manning with all the coaches who he went to Super Bowls with. How many coaches? Four coaches.
This is where he's going to talk up about Brady. You had to use his wristband because he didn't even know
I'm past
what the
that.
plays were.
I'm past that. Once Tom Brady, that's me denying the greatness of Tom Brady until I could deny it any longer. I was a denier of Patrick Mahomes, too, until you just couldn't deny it any longer.
And I think you're probably right. With a guy like Peyton Manning, who was going to be successful wherever, but he didn't win until he got Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
And he didn't win until he was here.
But he went to 4 Super Bowls with 4 different head coaches, Peyton, too.
Jeez,
Caldwell.
Yeah.
Dungy, Foxy, and Coobs.
Wow.
Yeah. Right?
Well, I mean... So, you don't think Brady could have been the same?
I think Brady could have been great elsewhere, but not 7 rings great, not 6 rings in New England great, and 1 more in.
See, I think it always kind of matters. I mean, like you could bring up John Elway in that conversation. He went to 3.
I think John Elway would have been great anywhere,
but he didn't win until he got Mike and
Correct.
TD.
Bingo.
Those were the missing pieces.
I think Dan Marino probably could have been Dan Marino anywhere because you're going to let him throw the ball 40 times no matter what. He happened to play for old Don Shula, for his career, and maybe held him back or made him the guy who he was. But, yeah, so how does that correlate? How do we tie that back into Bo Nix and Sean and even Mahomes and Andy Reid here?
Do you believe in the combination of the two?
I think
if you have to do like the confetti test.
Yeah.
In your eyes, I know you don't believe it happens this year, and you thought it was laughable that we could even say Broncos in Super Bowl in 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
You see it happening, though, right? If you're doing a confetti test, at some point or another, is Bo Nix standing on the stage next to Sean Payton?
Confetti test is like I like the way you phrase that, like a version of someone's eye test. Does he pass like the initial eye test? And I think, as we were kind of talking about just a minute ago, I really like the combination of Bo Nix and Sean Payton so much more than the idea of just drafting Bo Nix with the 12th pick as the 6th quarterback last year. It was hard, like a hard pill to swallow a little bit. The 6th quarterback, in a draft with the 12th pick felt like a stretch, and naturally you felt like you're getting the worst guy out of the 6 quarterbacks. But that doesn't mean anything because Elway's drafted 5 quarterbacks, and the last one was Dan Marino. And then Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield,
your boy,
Josh Allen, Rosen, and Darnold. That draft had 5 quarterbacks, and the last one taken was Lamar Jackson. So those are the closest comps in the sense of, 6 quarterbacks taken in a draft in the first round. What's that going to look like? How do we compare that? Well, being the last one in a heavy quarterback draft doesn't mean anything. Actually, it tells you a lot of, good things because Dan Marino, Lamar Jackson ended up being 2 all-time great quarterbacks.
For every case of that, there's a flip side of the last 2.
Okay, but also you got to hope that's not the case in this. You got to hope you got to stick with the trend here.
No, I believe it. I think it does pass the confetti test. Now, at the end of the season, is this season going to be one of those seasons that they make a run? Is something special happening here, Danny? Maybe. I mean, you have to have a lot of things go your way to get through an NFL season to make that run.
Okay.
You got to stay healthy. The pieces that you were expecting to perform at certain levels have to get there. And championship teams do it differently. So the biggest missing piece might be you don't know what you don't know. They don't know how to get there yet. And I think that's what Sean's trying to instill in this team early is put that belief in your mind right away. And we do it differently here. We talked about all the things, the 14 to 17 things he was pissed off about that didn't have anything to do with the game. That's building championship culture.
Okay. So I guess when we're talking about what, as a whole, are the Broncos, missing that will keep them from competing for what I would say contendership, which is an AFC championship appearance.
Is that a word?
Yeah, I just made it up. So I think what that is obviously just that experience. Okay.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The pedigree, the experience, Cello. Chavi, you put up on the screen here, 3rd youngest team in the NFL. Is that right? The Broncos are the third youngest team in the NFL, Cello. That just tells you just so much. For anyone who's putting those heavy expectations on the Broncos, third youngest team in the NFL, and then you have, Greenlaw, you got, how old is Lutz? You got Garrett Bowles. There's a handful of guys that are even weighing that thing to being the number 1 or number 2 youngest team in the NFL. That speaks volumes. I love that. And I think that's exciting, and that's why I think.
But that also gives you fears because they
no,
lack
it
the
tells me
experience.
that just in 2026, when I think they're a real contender, they'll have that experience kind of under their belt, and they'll have, hopefully a divisional round playoff loss in overtime against the Ravens or somebody like that after a big playoff win, and you're kind of building those blocks to again, the road to a championship. You don't just take the elevator straight up. It's a long, process taking those steps. Those when you go climbing those 14ers, man. You and me, we're up in the climbing those 14ers.
Got to watch the weather.
Yep. You don't just go straight to the top. You got to maneuver your way down here. Cello, watch out. Like cliffhanger. I got you. I got you.
All I'm thinking of is, you remember Price is Right?
Yeah.
When you would do the prices and they'd have the yodeler up on the mountain?
Of course.
I don't want it to take that long. Give me a motorbike. Let's get there quicker and believe it.
You motorboating son of a... Okay, so...
let me ask you.
ask me anything.
Let me go full circle.
Okay.
You started the show with the question.
Okay.
Now I want your answer.
What's the question?
What's the missing piece?
What is the missing piece?
Is there one? Who or what is the missing piece? Is it a player? Is it a position group?
Yeah, I think it's two things. Obviously, I said it's experience being the third youngest team in the NFL. You can't fast forward that. That's just natural. But if we're talking about a piece as a whole, I think that if the Broncos were to go land themselves a really special 3-down horse of a running back, there's only 7, 8, 9 of those guys in the league. Okay, but if they were to have one of those 7, 8, 9 guys, I think the Broncos are as good as anybody in the whole league.
Give me some names that you're thinking of.
Kyron Williams, Jameer Gibbs. Obviously the Saquons or the Christian McCaffreys.
So then that's your
the
question.
Derrick Henrys. No, it is. But again, Cello, you can't just acquire one of those guys.
No. I'm not saying you can. Or that's not like you can go make a deal for that.
Yeah.
But then I guess the answer to your question is, you don't have a full belief in the running back position group.
No, not these guys yet, because Harvey doesn't have the makeup to be like a 3-down horse of a guy. He kind of feels like a specialist. Dobbins, it turns out, I don't want to get in trouble here, but I mean, Schefter got in so much trouble for this. I have a family member who's in the medical industry, and happened to look at Dobbins' chart, his medical chart, and it turns out that his bones are made out of pie crust. Dude, it's weird. No one's seen anything like it before. It's very rare, very few cases. But those guys are temporary. Those guys are temporaries. I would dip right back into the draft next year and take a first-round running back, take a second-round running back, whatever it may take, because I think that guy is whoever that may be. And there's one out there in every single draft, a couple, is the engine that would be a championship force.
We don't talk a lot about trade deadline in the NFL. There's not usually a lot of action when it comes to the NFL, not like it is with basketball or baseball. But if this team, say you get to that point, I don't even know when it is this year. It's usually around week 6 or something.
Yeah, the trade deadline? 8 or something. I think they might have pushed it back a little.
If they have a belief that they can get there and they've seen it through.
Now we're talking.
Moves like that, is there an in-season type of move?
Do you know what? That's a beautiful thing. Let's think about it. Is there a team who has a lot of expectations?
Last year, before Kamara signed his deal, I thought make that move.
Okay, say the Bengals tank out and they're a 6 or 7 win team, defense worst in the league, Joe Burrow another injury, not Joe Mixon, Brown. There's their starting running back Brown. He's a guy supposed to be like a fantasy superstar this year. The Broncos need somebody kind of like that. What about Joe Mixon? Say
A
the
guy like
Texan.
that?
Yeah.
I
Joe
don't
Mixon
think-
has, literally Joe Mixon. They're 7-9 team, 8-8. Mixon, they know they're not going to run it back with Mixon the next year. They got a younger guy. Trade deadline is up. You're right there. Slow start for them. Do the Broncos go trade a 5th-round pick for Joe Mixon?
That doesn't move the meter for me.
Really?
No.
He's a top 15 runner in the league, or 17.
I know, but for me, like I'm thinking, like it'd have to be. I brought up like Kamara because of last year, because of the relationship and how good he was. Have you ever heard your own Kamara stuff? It's pretty good. Check it out sometime. But it's like that type of player, one that could get you. Like, how do the Baltimore Ravens land Derrick Henry? When you already said, like, you got answers. That's why you're surprised that guys like you thought last year with the resurgence of the running game in the National Football League. I thought it was going to be Eagles Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs found another way to get it done. It's like we keep talking about check all the boxes. The Ravens have it. They got coach, check. Running back, check. Quarterback, check. The receiving group, they're always good defensively. Never been to a Super Bowl. The Broncos this year, do they check all the boxes for you?
Most. Some.
Coach?
Yes.
Check.
Yep.
Quarterback?
Yep.
Check.
Yeah.
Defense?
Check.
Running back?
Check bet. Check bet. Check, check, check.
You said check on running back?
Like Teddy KGB. Check, 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 check.
Why'd you check that?
What do you say? Check on an ace. Okay. That's how they knew those cops knew that they were getting scammed.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 sevens. He was dealing from the bottom of the deck.
Yep.
Okay, so
It's all right. It's all right. We'll let the cards
you had
do
a
the
running back. You
talking.
said there.
No, but I would say I'm not checking on running back.
No,
I don't know.
You said a running back at the beginning of that conversation that
Kamara.
why? Why don't they go get Alvin Kamara?
I don't know.
That team is destined to be a 3 or 4 win team. I think
to be
Alvin
honest with
Kamara
you,
to
I
the
don't know
Broncos is
why-
a reality.
Yes. I don't know why he re-signed that deal there. Like, they don't have any answers in New Orleans. They're not. That's why you feel bad for a guy like Devon Vele that gets shipped there, because you don't even know who your quarterback is.
If I'm the Broncos, I go out and get Alvin Kamara today.
Do it.
I go and get Alvin Kamara right now today. I don't wait until, the Saints have gone off the rails. And I don't wait until the Broncos are in a situation where they realize we needed a guy like that to get to where we want, and it be a little bit too late for them.
that.
Because I don't know how much tread Kamara has left on the tires, but I know he's still one of the most special and dynamic and unique runners in the league right now. I'd go get him right now.
100% on board.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, I think-
Check, bet.
Do you know what that would take? We'll give you your 4th and your 7th back. Because the Saints' 4th and 7th, if they have the number 1 pick in the draft, is the first pick of the 4th and the first pick of the 7th, which, let me run those numbers. Boop, 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 boop. That's like a 3rd-round pick. That is a 3rd-round pick. So a 3rd-round pick for Agent Kamara? Cello, sign me up. I'm
bored.
in.
Let's do it.
All right. That's the show.
That's it.
We appreciate it. Comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We do a couple of these shows a week, and you can find them, and you can enjoy them, and we hope you guys are. We really appreciate it. We're going to keep cranking these things out for you guys. For Marcello Romano, for our guy DC who produces the product, I am Danny Williams. We appreciate you guys, and we love you guys. Good night, Sheila.
Whatever, Alan. Go inside.